a tale of two icons. In the glittering world of Hallyu, few names shine brighter than Song Hye-kyo and Lee Min-ho. She, the graceful queen of melodrama, adored for her poise and resilience. He, the eternal prince of K-dramas, a heartthrob whose charm transcends borders. Both have lived their lives under blinding spotlights, with every gesture, glance, and rumored romance dissected by millions. But what happens when these two worlds collide? Could love bloom between them, or would their differences, especially in age and maturity, doom the relationship before it even began? This is the debate that has kept fans, critics, and insiders talking. Is Song Hye-kyo too mature for Lee Min-ho? The age factor, numbers that speak volumes. Song Hye-kyo was born in 1981, while Lee Min-ho came into the world in 1987. A 6-year gap may not seem enormous, but in South Korea's entertainment industry, where image, status, and even age hierarchy play a critical role, such a difference can spark endless conversations. Fans often argue, she's lived through marriage, divorce, and the scars of scandal. He's still the boyish heartthrob loved by teenagers. She's refined, sophisticated, wise. He's playful, adventurous, still basking in youthful fame. But others counter. Age doesn't define love. What matters is connection, respect, and chemistry. Wouldn't their differences balance them out, her maturity grounding his energy? Thus began the great debate. Song Hye-kyo, the woman forged by fire. To understand why some consider her too mature for Lee Min-ho, one must revisit her past. Song Hye-kyo entered the entertainment world young, but her career was marked by intensity. From her breakout role in Autumn in My Heart, 2000, to her global fame in Descendants of the Sun, 2016, she has always embodied gravitas. Her personal life, however, shaped her maturity even more. Her high-profile marriage to co-star Song Joong-ki was celebrated as a fairy tale romance, only to collapse within less than 2 years. The divorce was public, painful, and humiliating in ways the world can scarcely imagine. She emerged from the storm stronger, quieter, and wiser, a woman scarred, yet unbroken. For many, this is the maturity that defines her. Lee Min-ho, the prince who never grew up? Lee Min-ho, on the other hand, represents youth, energy, and the fantasy of everlasting charm. Since Boys Over Flowers, 2009, he has remained frozen in the public imagination as the ideal first love, tall, handsome, mischievous, yet tender. While Song Hye-kyo faced heartbreak and rebuilt her life, Lee Min-ho remained largely scandal-free in matters of romance. Yes, he had his rumored girlfriends, from Park Min-young to Suzy, but nothing as publicly dramatic as Song Hye-kyo's story. To some, this makes him appear less seasoned, a man who still enjoys basking in stardom rather than carrying the weight of hard-earned wisdom. When maturity meets youth. Now imagine them together. Song Hye-kyo, with her quiet strength, her understanding of heartbreak, her guarded trust. Lee Min-ho, with his youthful spark, his laughter, his need to be adored. Could such opposites attract? Insiders whisper that their chemistry, when they've crossed paths at events, is undeniable. She, elegant and poised. He, charming and magnetic. Cameras capture fleeting glances, and fans rush to imagine the possibilities. But critics raise questions. Would she grow weary of his boyish charm? Would he find her too serious, too cautious, too scarred by life? The debate ignites, fans divided. When speculation of their potential romance surfaced, fanbases erupted into debate. Supporters said, Song Hye-kyo deserves someone younger, full of life, who can make her smile again. Lee Min-ho could bring lightness to her world. She could bring depth to his. Detractors argued, she's too mature for him, emotionally and mentally. He hasn't lived through what she has. Their worlds don't align. He's still the prince of fantasy dramas. She's lived through tragedies, both on screen and off. And so, the debate continued, not just about romance, but about life, experience, and whether love can bridge such different journeys. The alleged encounters. Whispers claim that Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo did share private moments together, at fashion events, in industry gatherings, perhaps even in the quiet corners of Seoul's luxury cafes. One insider described it best. When they talked, the room shifted. She carried a calm wisdom, he carried a playful energy. Together, it was like watching fire meet water. Dangerous, beautiful, impossible to look away from. Were these encounters romantic? Or just professional courtesy? The truth remains hidden. Denial, silence, and the what-ifs. Both stars have been careful, almost too careful. Whenever asked about each other, they smile politely, offer respectful words, and move on. Is this professional courtesy? Or a practiced avoidance? What makes the debate even stronger is not what they say, but what they don't. Silence often speaks louder than denial. And fans, hungry for answers, fill the void with their own imaginations. The tragic possibility. If they were ever truly together, or if they ever tried, the tragedy lies in its impossibility. Song Hye-kyo may be seen as too mature, because she has lived too much, too deeply, to return to the innocence of first love. Lee Min-ho may be seen as too young, because he still embodies that innocence the world won't let him outgrow. Together, they could have been a perfect balance, or a disaster waiting to happen. Conclusion: the debate that won't die. So, is Song Hye-kyo too mature for Lee Min-ho? Perhaps not. The truth is, love is rarely about age, experience, or perception. It is about timing. And in their case, timing has always been cruel. The debate lingers because it touches something universal, the clash of youth and maturity, hope and scars, fantasy and reality. And maybe that's why the world cannot stop imagining them together. Because in Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo, we see a question we all secretly wonder about. Can two people from different worlds, different scars, and different stages of life ever find a love that lasts? Whispers in the shadows. The public only knows fragments. A photo here, a smile there, a polite nod at an awards show. But what about the things we don't see? Industry whispers suggest that Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo's paths crossed far more often than the public realized. A quiet dinner after a fashion shoot in Paris. A chance meeting at a Seoul art gallery where they stood before the same painting a little too long. A rumored phone call late at night where laughter gave way to silence and silence gave way to something unspoken. None of it was ever confirmed. None of it denied. And that silence became fuel for speculation. A clash of worlds. Insiders described their dynamic as magnetic but unstable. Song Hye-kyo, still healing from the storm of her past, carried an aura of restraint. She was cautious, protective of her heart, unwilling to fall too easily again. Lee Min-ho, however, approached life with his trademark ease, playful, spontaneous, a man who thrived on the thrill of the moment. For him, her maturity was alluring, mysterious, almost intoxicating. For her, his boyish charm was both refreshing and dangerous. She could laugh with him, but could she trust him? Could she risk another heartbreak when her scars were still raw? The media's obsession. The Korean media began to pick up on the whispers. Are Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo more than just friends? Screamed one tabloid. Too much of an age gap? Netizens debate possible romance, said another. Comment sections exploded. She's too experienced for him. He'll never understand her pain. He's too young to carry her burdens. She needs someone stable, not playful. But maybe that's why they'd be perfect for each other. The debate wasn't just about them anymore. It became about the very nature of love itself. Can maturity and youth coexist, or do they always tear each other apart? A secret meeting? One story, unconfirmed but endlessly whispered about, tells of a meeting in Tokyo. Lee Min-ho was there for a fan meeting. Song Hye-kyo, coincidentally, for a private brand event. Their schedules overlapped for less than 48 hours. And yet, insiders claim they met. A quiet dinner in a private hotel suite. No cameras. No managers. Just two people, shedding their celebrity masks for a few hours. What was said that night remains a mystery. Did they confess feelings? Did they draw boundaries? Or did they simply enjoy the fleeting comfort of each other's presence, knowing the world outside would never understand? The burden of denial. Both stars have been asked, directly or indirectly, about each other. And both always give the same careful, measured responses. She's a senior I deeply respect. Lee Min-ho. He's a talented actor with a bright future. Song Hye-kyo. But fans noticed the slight pause before they answer. The way their eyes shift. The way their lips almost tremble with words unsaid. Denial is easy when there's nothing to hide. But when there's something to protect, silence becomes heavy. The what-ifs that haunt them. Imagine, for a moment, the weight on their shoulders. For Lee Min-ho, dating Song Hye-kyo would mean stepping into a world far more complex than he'd ever known. Loving a woman who has survived heartbreak, betrayal, and public judgment. Could he handle that? For Song Hye-kyo, being with Lee Min-ho would mean daring to trust again, with a man younger, less scarred, perhaps less prepared for the storms that follow her everywhere. Could she take that risk? It's not just about love. It's about survival in an industry where every whisper becomes a headline, every mistake a scandal. A twist in the tale. Here's where the suspense deepens. Some insiders claim that their story did not end with silence. That somewhere between their encounters and their denials, there was indeed a brief, fragile romance. Not long. Not loud. Just a fleeting chapter in their lives that the world was never meant to know. And yet, someone always talks. Rumors spread. Whispers became louder. Until the question resurfaced in the public eye once again. Was Song Hye-kyo too mature for Lee Min-ho? Or was the world too harsh to let them try? To be continued. The truth remains buried, guarded by two people who understand the cost of exposure better than anyone. But fans remain restless. The debate continues. And the mystery lingers like smoke in the air, refusing to fade. Because sometimes, the greatest stories are not the ones told on screen, but the ones hidden between stolen glances, unspoken words, and what-ifs that will never find answers.